you've gotten a buckle in your wheel and you don't want to take it down to the store to get it fixed. It is a super easy thing to fix. All you need is a spoke tool like this. A stand is optional. You can actually flip the bike upside down and away you go. Now, before I go on to the process in front of the camera, I do want to explain a few key points here. So we have our left side and our right side of the wheel. This is my diagram of the rim, spoke, and the spokes into the hub. Now, if we have a buckle going to the left side, then what we want to do is we actually want to tighten the right spoke and loosen the left spoke just to bring it into center. Or if it was the other way around and we had the buckle going to the right, then we'd need to tighten the left spoke and loosen off the right spoke. Now, let's say that our buckle, or the worst part of the buckle, is roughly where this spoke is. Now, depending on which way that buckle is going, we're either going to be tightening or loosening this spoke. Let's say in this scenario, we're going to tighten it. So we tighten this, as an example, 1 revolution tighter, and then what we're going to do is we're going to do a half a turn on either of those to loosen the spoke. And what we're doing there is we're keeping the similar amount of tension on the wheel. Now, just a bit of an explanation on how to remove a flat spot. Now, without a touring stand, this can be a little bit difficult. However, if you take the tyre off and chuck it back into the bike and just use a cable tie to sit above the rim so you can eye off how high and low the actual rim is going from the cable tie, that's probably your second best option, particularly if you're at home. Now, the way we would fix this is we've got our flat spot here. We'll be loosening off 1, 2, 3, 4 spokes here, and then we'll come around, we'll find the high spot. Let's say the high spot was here. However, this could be anywhere around the wheel, by the way. Our high spot's here, and what we'll do is we tighten 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, the amount of times you want to loosen or tighten the spoke is depending on how bad that is, but I generally will start with a half a turn to a full turn. So in this case, I'll do, if we're doing a half a turn, we go half a turn across those loose, then half a turn on those 4 tighter. So this is the buckle. In this scenario, we're going to use the brake pad to go off the wheel. Now, if you have disc brakes, that makes it a little bit tricky. What you can do is just get a cable tie, strap it around your fork, or if it's on the back, just around the seat stay, and use that as your guide as well. Or if you've got a good enough eye, you can go by eye. Alright, so what we're going to do firstly, we're going to find the buckle. So you can see there, that's where the main buckle is. Just want to find the middle of that. And we're about here. So I'm going to go from this spoke here. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to loosen this spoke off. Maybe half a turn. And then the opposing spokes here, we're just going to tighten a bit over a half a turn or a quarter, so that spoke's actually quite loose. So we'll do it a little bit more on that one. Okay, now see how that's gone. So you can probably see that's improved dramatically already. But it's still not great, so we're going to find the high spot again. So it's about here somewhere, about there. So this spoke, so this side we're going to tighten, so we'll tighten this one here. Maybe we'll go half a turn, tight. And the 2 on either side of it, we're going to go about a quarter turn loose. And we'll go again. That's starting to improve quite a lot. And we'll find it again. There's this middle spoke here, roughly. We're just going to loosen this one about half a turn and tighten either side here a quarter. Now what you can do as well
you can actually, if it's hard to see and you want to see a bit more, you can actually squeeze your brake in a little bit. Obviously, if you've got the cable tie, this makes it much easier. But in this case, we'll just bring the brake in a little bit closer. I'm just squeezing the lever, by the way. And we have a little bit of a spot there. So it's going this way from what I can see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten this spoke here and loosen this off. It's really only not much, so I'm going to just do like a quarter or an eighth turn. Eighth turn on these ones. So that's actually pretty good.
Now, as you can see, that was a pretty simple process and we did that very quickly. But that was a really easy wheel to fix. A lot of them can be a lot harder and require a lot more time. So this is where I don't want you to rush it. I want you to take your time with it and make sure you're doing it right, because if you are rushing it, a lot of the time things can go horribly wrong. Now that we've covered that, I just want to speak about one little bit that's a little bit more advanced, and that's dishing the wheel. Dishing the wheel means it's not sitting directly in the middle of the hub. We're not talking about the hub flanges where the spokes go, we're talking about axle to axle where it sits in the frame. Now, let's say for instance, we needed to bring the rim to the right. What we'd have to do, in this scenario, we're going to do a half a turn on each spoke. On the left side, we're going to loosen them by half a turn. And then we'll go over and tighten the right side by half a turn. And then we're going to check it. Now, there is a specific tool that you need to check that. And it's called a wheel dishing tool. And it kind of looks like something like this, where the rim will sit on either side here. And then you'll have an adjustable point here that touches the axle. So what we'll do in this scenario, we'll be checking with this tool against here. So that part here would be sitting here, and this part will be sitting here. And we'll loosen that off and adjust it so it's sitting flush. And then what we'll do after that is we put the dishing tool on the other side and then see if it matches up. Now, if the rim isn't over far enough to the right, it's going to be touching here, but it's not going to be touching then, it's going to rock. Or if it's too far over, what's going to happen is the rim's going to be touching on here, but this is not going to be touching here. Now, in that case, we'd have to bring the rim back that way. Now, there's a little bit of a tricky part to this, because every time you do that, you may be putting some form of stress on the rim and buckling it again. So if you had a buckle a little bit around the rim and you just so happen to touch this part on there, it's going to give you a false reading. So when you do the dish on the wheel, you kind of need to make sure everything is true with the rim and then use this to test. Now, a little tiny bit of buckle is not going to affect it too much. If your rim's out too far, you're probably not going to be worried about it too much. You want to get it quite close and then start truing the wheel and getting it right. But a process like this with patience can take quite a long time if you've not done it before. Now, I hope you've learned something in this video. If you have any other questions or feedback or any other video ideas, please give me a comment below. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.